Today is August the 4th, 2016. My name is Tanya Fincham. I'm with Oklahoma State University. Today I am in Vinita, Oklahoma to speak with Ethel Bohannan and Ruth Hensley. And this is part of our Glass House project for Vinita's Glass House over on the Turnpike. So thank you for coming today. I've got to get it right. Ruth and Ethel. Okay. Okay, let's start with you. When and where were you born?
Well, I guess you'd say I was born at Welch, Oklahoma, but I was out in the country.
And what year?
What year was I born?
Well,
If you're 94, so what month?
This month.
September.
In September?
August. August the 16th.
1912?
22.
22, okay. And that's Ruth, right? Okay, and how about you, Ethel?
I was born in Bonner Springs, Kansas, the 21st of March of 1937.
So just a little bit after you. Not
Just
much.
a little bit.
And have you always lived around this area, Ruth?
Well, I started in Welch, and then we lived at Afton, back to Welch, then at Vinita, and then at Tulsa, and now at Claremore.
So mostly northeast Oklahoma.
Yes.
Okay, and how about you?
Well, I come here in January of '69 to Oklahoma. Prior to that, I was military. I was married to military, and I was in Germany and around.
You served in the military or
No,
just married into it?
Married into it.
So you came to Vinita in '69
In January '69.
and been here pretty much ever since?
Yep.
So you consider it home or?
Yes, ma'am.
It's home.
Yes, ma'am.
And I guess
She bought my house
I bought her house. I
when
love it.
I moved to Tulsa.
Yeah, I love it.
has she changed it much?
Hmm?
Has she changed it much?
Well, no, I haven't been there.
Well, I've got 5 families of furniture in it.
Oh.
If that tells you anything. Wall to wall, ducks, deers, bears, pillows.
My husband and my dad we bought 2 rooms off of an old house, and they built that house from there.
Her husband did. Her husband built it.
And did it have electricity
Yeah.
from the
It
get-go?
had everything when we got done with it.
And not when they started, but when they got done with it, it did.
Well, if you grew up out in the country, you grew up out in the country,
Did it work?
grew up,
Oh, yeah.
lived on.
Yeah, I'm a farmer.
I was going to say lived on a farm.
Yeah.
I did too, till I
Both
was
of you.
18.
Have certain chores you didn't like.
Oh, well, my dad said, do this, and we didn't question it either. We didn't argue like kids do nowadays. Dad said, do it, we done it.
You betcha.
It was my job to bring the cows in to milk. My sister's job was to pick up the eggs out of the hen house. And I had to ride my horse down. I rode a horse to school till I was halfway through my 11th grade and got a school bus.
I bet that disappointed the horse.
No, I don't imagine it did, because he had to stand in the barn all day. I get thinking about that poor horse and I think, I don't even know where he had a drink of water or not.
Did he have a name?
Yeah, he had a name, but I don't remember what. Well, Jerry was my mean horse. He would try to rake you off on a tree limb if he could. But my dad got a horse from our doctor in town for me to ride to high school. And it was a white horse. I forget what his name was.
So you had one sister?
Well, till I was 13 years old, my dad remarried and I had another sister.
Okay. So 3 girls.
Yeah.
And I think she's.
And both of them are dead, and I'm still alive.
That's what I thought.
What do you think the secret is? Your secret then?
I said, I guess, live the best you can, don't drink and don't smoke.
And maybe be a little ornery?
Well, everybody claims I am. Not me. Not me.
That's what keeps her going, is her honoriness.
Yes. Well, how about you, Ethel? Do you have brothers and sisters?
Well, I had one sister and she's gone. My folks are gone. And, but when I was a kid, I was the boy my daddy didn't have. I worked in the fields with him. I helped my mom. We had a grade A dairy barn. My mom done those 35 to 40 head of cattle, night and morning, milked them.
By hand?
Yep. Well, at last she had milkers, and she just cried and cried and cried when she got those milkers because they was mean to the cows. So
I had to plow corn with horses, and we had 80 acres of corn to plow. And my dad would help with the threshing crew, and when he went to help with the threshing crew, I had to go out and plow the corn. I had to lay it by.
Just different days, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what would you do for fun if you did all that work?
Well, me and my sister used to play hopscotch.
That counts.
And jump rope, that's what we did.
How about you, Ethel?
I didn't do a lot, played with my dolls and when I had time and all, so. My daddy done the farm on shares with a man from Kansas City, and he had a clothing store, Orbox Clothing in Kansas City, and he'd come every month and see how Daddy was doing, if Daddy needed anything, but he always brought my mother, every month, he'd bring my mother $500 besides what they made, and he'd bring me $100, and Mom and Dad put it up for me to save for when I graduated from high school. And he's the one that gave me my horse that I rode and went after the cattle. Only I took a rifle with me when I went, because I went down. Well, that's when they lived at Leavenworth. We moved from Bonner Springs when I was 3 to 12 miles south and west of Leavenworth. And you know that all those bad prisons are in Leavenworth. And one time, I never will forget, and I had a cattle dog. He went with me. He never got away from me. I went after to get the cows. I was -1. So the others was pretty well to the house. I went back, Ted went with me. I went back and found 2 guys had butchered one hanging from the tree. And so I said, I pulled my rifle and I said, I don't think you're going to finish that. Oh, yes, we are. And one guy got up and he said, I'm not going to let no smart kid tell me what to do. And I was about 12. And he started for me, and my horse reared up and brought him down. And he laid there. Because that horse put his hooves right down. He laid there. And the other guy said, well, and I said to Teddy, go get Daddy. Well, when Daddy come back, the sheriff was with him because there was 3 escaped convicts, and that's who was there. They had stole the truck, and they had just butchered the cow. So Daddy made him drop it, and the sheriff took him in and come back later and got the truck. And he said, I can't believe a 12-year-old kid captured him. And I said, no, my horse did in my rifle, because I would have shot him, because my daddy trained me to. If you need to protect yourself, you shoot him. But I never will forget that. I never will forget that. I was real scared, but I knew Tony would protect me. My horse was Tony, and I knew he'd protect me. And after he brought that one guy down. The others didn't think they wanted to be brought down like that. So they didn't. And that was the only thing I experienced the whole time when I was a kid bringing in cattle.
Well, Tony deserved a steak that night.
Yeah, Tony. Yeah,
Or
he did.
extra oats.
Extra oats, yeah, he got it. He got it.
Me and my sister used to dig a can of worms and go fishing every day in the summertime, and we went swimming in the creek.
Okay.
She still likes to fish and grow flowers.
Getting worms is not fun though, is it?
Well, it didn't take long. We just get a shovel and go out there under these trees and dig and get a half a can of worms, and away we'd go fishing. We'd catch a little perch and bring them home, grab them, clean them, and cook them for us.
Well, that sounds good too now, doesn't it?
We grew our own vegetables, we had our own meat. I can remember when my mom went to the store, she had food stamps. And you could only get so much coffee, and you could only get so many pairs of shoes, and stuff like that, and sugar. I can remember that.
Was that during the Depression and rations instead of?
Yeah. And I can remember we used to get butter, it was white, and it had a yellow capsule in it, and you broke it, and you stirred it up, and it made it yellow.
Didn't change the flavor, just the color?
Just the color, just the color. And I used to make buttermilk, and make butter, shake it. And Mother had a deal that you turned the handle, and then we had one you jumped up and down like that plunged up and down. But most of the time, I'd shake it in a quart jar. And Daddy loved that milk. It was buttermilk. Put a little vinegar in it after you got your butter out, and it was buttermilk, and he loved that.
Pretty much good for us too back in those days too.
Yeah.
And you worked it off. Well, where did you graduate from high school?
Well, while we moved from Leavenworth to Easton, which was 8 miles north, and I graduated from Easton High School. 4 in my graduation class, 2 boys and 2 girls.
And what year?
54.
54?
No.
So don't feel bad, she's having to think too.
Well, I
Don't
only
feel
went to,
bad, she's having to think too.
I only went to school 11 years, because I took the 1st and 2nd grade
Oh, I can
at the same
remember
time.
when I graduated real easy. It's 1940.
I graduated in 54.
Okay, a little later. Well, after you graduated from high school, what did you do?
My aunt come and got me and took me to Vinita, and I lived with her for a while, and then I started working for people and working in restaurants, and next thing you know, I got hooked on restaurants.
And where along those lines did you get hooked on the glass house?
Well, when my daughter went to college, I had to go to work to help her pay for it. So she left the glass house and went to Tulsa to go to college, and I went to the glass house and went to work.
To pay for her to go to.
Yeah, that was about 61, 62, I think her son told me when to go.
Okay, that hadn't been open that long, because it opened in what, 58, 59, something like
I think it
that?
was 57, but I'm not sure.
Something like that, in the late 50s then.
Mhm.
So were you a waitress or in the cook or what?
I was a waitress.
Waitress, yeah. Waitress.
And Annabelle got the big idea that I was so good at waiting on big tables of people that she would give them all to me. I said, oh, no, you're not.
Yeah.
I said, I'll take my share, but that's it. Because you can make just as much money off of 2 people as you could 8.
I can remember Annabelle used to have all these women that wanted to play bridge and all this and sit and drink coffee, and she put them in the rooms where we had banquets. Well, they decided they had to have a little nip, so Ruth or Darlene or I had to work it because we had to be of age. And they'd pull one of us off to work that. Well, they never give us a tip till we went to Annabelle and told her, hey, we're not waiting on those people. Well, why not? Because they don't give us a tip. You took our tips away from us, you took us off the floor. So she made them start giving us a tip. They thought we was just out there for the health, I guess our health. Because we worked in the broiler room, and we made good tips. We made good tips.
And that was mostly in the afternoon, or was it lunch,
Well,
lunch and dinner?
we worked 2 to 10.
Okay, so that's
Supper.
evening shift.
But I have worked breakfast and all, but we worked 2 to 10.
What was considered a good tip
Oh, $10, $15.
for a table of?
Two, and 4 should be more.
I made $200 tips, but that was very rare. It just happened to be people that liked me real good.
Yeah, if we didn't make over $100 at night, we thought we were not making anything.
Well, did you get paid per hour then plus tips? or-
Yeah, when I started, I got 52 cents an hour.
How about you? About the same?
I don't remember.
And when I quit,
And you never even questioned it, you just went to work.
yeah, it was about 52 cents when I started. I started in February '69,
Okay.
and I made 52 cents. And when I quit in, I worked almost 7 years. And then we had to start going down to Annabelle and turning in our tips at nighttime and pay taxes on them. And we said, So that's when I quit. And I had a chance to go to days, and I could work while my boys was in school. So I quit. Oh, honey, I done that.
That looks worse than me.
I done that with
So you were there about 7 years?
Mhm.
And about how long were you there?
Oh, I'd have to think about that.
If she started about 61, 62, she was still there when,
Oh, probably maybe 4 or 5 years, because I moved to Tulsa.
yeah, but she moved to Tulsa after I went to work. So if she started 60, 61, say she started in 60, she probably went to Tulsa, because I worked, what was it, 6 to 68, 67, anyway. She went to Tulsa about a year before I quit working out there.
So over 10 years then?
Yeah, she worked a long time. And we had another lady that worked with us. I don't know if they got a hold of her or not. She was Darlene Booth. She was a tall, dark-headed woman. She lives in Sand Springs, but I imagine her health is pretty bad, because I talked to her about this and I never got no answer. I mean, I sent her a letter and I never got no answer. But she worked with us. Then we had a little redhead, Sarah Crum, that worked with us.
Annabelle called me one time after I moved to Tulsa, when we come back and work at First National Bank party, and I said, "You want me to come back to the glass house and work a party?" Yes. So I went up there and worked it.
Her and I worked.
Well, would you have to wear different uniforms for the night, for something like that, a special
Well, you
event?
just clean
Well, we had
up.
different uniforms. The ugliest one was that yellow one.
That yellow thing, because you sit down and it was all wrinkled. And then they were hot.
Didn't we have a green checkered one?
Mm-mm,
No?
mm-mm. We had those white things, those
Oh,
white.
I never had a white one.
Well, I did, and then we had those yellow things. And remember, we'd carry them to work and dress when we got to work, because we didn't want no wrinkles in the back from sitting down, because they just wrinkled like you wouldn't believe. And a white apron and a white bow in the hair. But I could never keep the bow in my hair. We couldn't have our hair below our shoulders. We had to wear hairnets.
Had to be short or just pulled back up?
No,
Could it be long?
it had to be short.
Had to be short.
Never touch your collar.
She'd inspect, Annabelle would inspect you when you came through the
No,
door?
Miss Kellogg would. She was the main lady. She was from Kentucky, and she'd come through, and we were supposed to wear girdles.
That's even hot. That's too
Tell
hot.
me about it. And she'd go up. She wouldn't say, "Do you have a girdle on?" She'd just go up and flip you, see if you had a girdle on. And I told her, "Don't you ever flip me. Don't you ever flip me." She never did. She never asked me if I had a girdle on either. I can remember she flipped Sarah, the other lady, one of the other girls that worked with us. And then we had a couple of other girls that worked. Do you remember Frida and Nancy Kirby that lived over at Uchi?
I don't think so.
Well, they worked with us and they were not real swifty. And she when she come? But when she come on time to teach us table service, she said, I will tell you one time only. And that's what
I
she did.
never had any of them women talk to me.
Well, Miss Kellogg talked to us. Miss Kellogg talked to us. I remember that.
Well, had you worked as a waitress before going to work there?
I had one.
What?
Was that your first waitressing job?
Oh, land no.
You had others?
I used to work at Hotel Vinita,
Okay. It was your first.
and I
waitress.
worked at Jim's, which was a restaurant at the south end of town. It was a steakhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I worked there in the summertime, and I worked at the hotel in the winter time.
Did you have to, or you just chose to?
I chose to.
Chose to.
She was by herself a lot. Her husband was real.
No, every time I'd quit working someplace, somebody in another restaurant would come after me to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I generally went. But I quit Scotty. Whew.
Yeah, Scotty's was east of town. Just as you go out of town now, there's several buildings along the east side, and there's several along this side. There's a pizza place at the very beginning, and Scotty's was there, and she worked there, and then he went out here, and I think she went with him out there, but I'm not sure.
Well, I had to come home the first day if I had my own car, but he would come to Vinita and pick up the waitresses or the people that worked out there and take them out about 4 miles out of town to his restaurant to work.
That was when he
And the first day I went to work, the kitchen was full of dirty dishes. And I thought, boy, if I had my car, I'd just turn around and go home.
wasn't the cleanest thing.
Well, what kind of restaurant was it? Scotty's?
It was a drive-in restaurant on the highway.
Hamburgers mostly, or?
He never had meals, just sandwiches, soup.
I never worked so hard in all my life. My feet would hurt clear to my knees.
Mm-hmm. She told me that. She's told me that a lot.
So I quit, and then Jim would come and get me and make me go to work again.
Well, what did your husband do for?
He worked for the railroad, Frisco.
So he was gone a lot?
Yes, he was gone a lot. He would work from Tulsa to Springfield, Missouri, all up and down the, well, they lived in boxcar, wherever they was working. So he was gone all week.
As an engine, was he an engineer
No.
or whatever? Just a,
Just a lady.
It's called the Bridge and Builders.
I don't know what that would be.
Well, they build bridges or build buildings or,
With the railroad?
They would build a building to put the engines in to repair them.
Okay, that makes sense.
I think that's what it was.
I had to learn what a roundhouse was. I guess that's a railroad term too, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Where they
yeah,
turn around.
where
Used to
they
be one
turn
in
the
Afton.
trains around. They don't do that anymore.
There used to be one in Afton, which is 15 miles east of here where my husband was born and raised, and he can remember the roundhouses. His uncles worked there.
Pretty neat. So the reason you quit working for Annabelle was what?
I moved to Tulsa, went to work down. She said, why don't you go down to
Didn't you?
Phoenicia and go to work? So I went down there and asked him for a job, and he said, well, I can put you to work part-time And I worked about 2 weeks, and one of the girls quit, and I worked there for 25 years.
She retired from Phoenicia's.
Which is what? I'm not sure.
It's a restaurant in
It's
Tulsa. It's considered a nice one in Tulsa.
So you moved and you bought the house.
And I bought the house.
Were you a waitress there, or did you be a hostess? What did you do there?
I waited on people.
You waited on
She was
tables.
waitress.
Made better tips than anybody
Yeah,
else.
you don't want to be a hostess, you don't make no money.
Have any particular customer you remember the most?
Well, I had 2 or 3 that I remember the most, yes. They gave you better tips.
I had one guy come in. He was dressed immaculate. You could eat off of his shoes. And we was noted for filet mignon and mile-high lemon chiffon pie.
I had this one group of people, and so Don was asking them, that my boss was Don. He said, is there a waitress you'd rather have? And he said, well, I would rather have Shirley. But he meant me, and I said, oh Lord, yes, give him to Shirley. He didn't tip.
Anyway, this guy ordered that, and he left me a quarter tip. Her son can tell you this. And so I took it. He was going down the elevator, and I punched the elevator for it to come back up. And he looked at me, and he didn't know what to think, and I said, here's your quarter, you probably need it worse than I do. Well, her son Tommy out there followed him downstairs. He come back with $25 for me. And he said, don't you set your foot in that broiler room again unless you want to tip them girls. They're not working for their health. And so he asked for me when he come back, and he gave me another $25.
People can be mean, can't they?
Oh, I thought, well, the way he was dressed,
Mhm.
you know, and to order what he ordered, and then give you a quarter tip. I thought, that's sorry, dude.
It's a wonder you didn't throw it at him.
I told him, I said, here's your quarter. I said, you probably need it more than I do. I remember doing that. And Tommy, here come Tommy to see if I need any help.
Would he have reported that to Annabelle and got you in trouble?
I don't think Tommy would have known. It's her son, Tommy, that brought her up here today. He's out there. in
But the customer.
Well, he should, no, he left. He left. No, he wouldn't reported that because he knew better, because he ate the most expensive thing, and no, he knew better. And then we had some guys, you know, the Conoco station. There's a Conoco station on each side of the glass house. And we had a couple of guys that come up and sit in a booth and drink coffee. Well, they wasn't supposed to come to the broiler room, they're supposed to go to the snack bar. But we had this one guy, he thought he was just real smart. And I was doing breakfast that day, because I've done all of it, but I was doing breakfast that day and I had 2 trays. He reached out and flipped me. So when I cleaned my tables off, I had juice, and I had syrup, and I had eggs, and when I got to that booth, I stubbed my toe. He got every bit of it. Well, he told Annabelle. That put a stop to him coming up, drinking coffee and blah, blah, blah.
He didn't think about it. He started it all.
He started it. I told her.
Yeah.
And she knew him. She knew him. She knew that I wasn't feeling. So, yeah. I just accidentally stubbed my toe. Couldn't help it.
Yeah,
So I'm not ornery.
Is that enough of this story?
No,
No?
no. Well, would they have holiday parties? Would Annabelle
yeah.
have-
Oh, yeah. We had Christmas parties, and every one of our kids would get a Christmas present. And we'd get a little bonus for Christmas. And I remember one year, one of my one of my sons, he wanted a boy baby doll and a doll buggy, but he wanted a colored baby. Well, you couldn't find none here. So Miss Kellogg said, I'll get him one. So one day before Christmas, here she come with that colored baby doll for him. And the doll buggy too. Had it at our Christmas party. He was thrilled to death.
And you two have been friends since that time?
Ever since
that
then,
time.
ever since then, we've been friends.
Have you been back to it since they remodeled?
She's never come back to the house since I've lived in it, and I've lived in it since April of '67.
I drove by it.
A couple of times. Yeah. Tommy will have to bring you up one of these days.
Well, have you been back to the Glass House restaurant since they redid it?
Well, I went there after they remodeled it. Somebody said I was in a bunch of pictures that was up there on the screen or the photo deal of the old, but it wasn't me because we never had a uniform that looked that good.
Do you know who it was?
Huh?
Do you know who it was?
No. It kind of looks like me, but it's not me because we never had a uniform that looked that good.
No, we never had uniforms that looked good. I didn't think so.
Well, would you have to laundry them yourself? The uniforms?
Yes.
Because if you didn't, we tried, Annabelle tried sending them out for us, and we'd get them back with this stain on them and that stain on them. We said, So we done it
Yeah,
all.
you could pay if you wanted them.
Yeah, but do you remember they'd come back with stains on them and everything, and we didn't want that. We just done our own.
What did you just were servers? Did you have to cook? Do any cooking?
No,
No cooking.
no cooking.
We done everything else.
Just about. We never done no cooking.
Well, what was the favorite thing that they fixed there that you liked?
Well, we wasn't allowed to eat like the fillets and the lobster tails and all that. We could have any and all the vegetables we wanted, and we could have a steak, but we wasn't allowed to have the pie or the filet mignons.
You couldn't have dessert?
We could have dessert. We could have ice cream, but we couldn't have the.
Boy, that hot fudge sundae.
Oh, that was good.
That was the best thing they
Yeah,
had.
we had hot fudge sundae. And breakfast time, they'd take cantaloupes, like this time of the year, and clean them and cut them in half and fill them with vanilla ice cream.
Sounds good too.
But the menu stayed basically the same all the time. So we had favorite cooks, or I did. But
Well, were the customers usually regulars, or were they just mostly
high-rate
travelers?
people,
Travelers.
high-rate people. I remember one time I went and waited on this lady, and she turned out to be the lady that taught me typing in high school. Her last name
I
was
think
Farr,
the
F-A-R.
people were just excited about eating up over the highway.
Because you'd sit up there and eat in the cars and whippy-doo underneath you and go on.
And did it get hot with all that glass when the sun was shining?
It didn't seem like it, but everybody wanted a window table, we had a good hostess and we never set anybody.
They all wanted a table by the window.
Where they could see out.
So interesting cars go by.
Once in a while.
And tour buses.
Well, the tour buses usually went to the snack bar. They couldn't afford the burger. They usually went to the glasses.
Probably took less time too to go to the snack room.
And then we had a gift shop out there also, and it had that pottery. Famous person here in Oklahoma.
Francoma?
Yes.
Francoma.
The old men like to be called boys, but one time I had some black people and I called them boy, and boy, he was going to have me fired.
Yep. But you know, I think that was the only colored people that I remember stopping there. was that guy. He was something else.
Well, do you remember someone dressing up in American Indian outfit costume?
That was a party.
That was parties. That was parties. We'd have to do that. And of course, all that kind of stuff was for sale in the gift shop. We had a nice gift shop. It was nice when we worked out there. When you went in the entrance, there was a fish pond, goldfish in it, and everybody, there was money. You know, they make a wish and throw it in, goldfish and all. And when they said they was gonna put it back like it used to be, I thought, I've got to see this, because there's nobody around that knew how it used to be but Ruth and I, and basically Darlene, but we haven't heard from, she hadn't heard from Darlene as much as I have. I don't know, but I said no. And then they slapped McDonald's in there and something else, and I thought they just ruined it. I've never noticed, no desire to go back and look at it, because they just ruined it.
So you were both gone by the time it became McDonald's. And was it Howard Johnson somewhere in between?
Well, after Interstate, no, it was Interstate Host. It was Interstate Host.
Okay. Well, McDonald's came in the, what, 80s, early 80s?
You know, I'm not sure when McDonald's.
Ernest Stone was from California.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they weren't the ones that had it built though, were they? It's Conoco had it built, didn't it? Conoco built the
I
building?
don't know who had it.
You know,
built.
I don't remember. I was trying, Hudson?
Probably the Oklahoma Highway.
The highway, the
Department.
Turnpike Authority, I think, had it built. I don't think
They
Conoco did.
wanted the restaurant up above the highway so everybody would stop.
I read where it's the first one like that.
Mhm.
It's the only one like that, I think.
That I know of, it's the only one. There might be others, but I think it's the only one, because it was known as the Glass House. It was never known as Interstate Host, but our checks were from Interstate Host. So,
And how often would you get paid? Once a week or?
no, I think we got paid every 2 weeks, didn't we? Every 2 weeks we got paid?
Every month, I thought.
I don't remember. I don't really remember.
I think it was once a month.
It might have been.
But then you got your tips that you took home every night.
Oh, yeah.
The waitresses would. Made some good friends from those time periods.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of good friends. We had a lot of good people that worked, but Annabelle had this deal, God bless her, she'd hire these college kids.
You know Will Stone?
I've heard that name.
He's an artist, and Annabelle made a good friend of his. He liked to drink, and he would get drunk, and she would buy his pictures.
Anyway, these young girls, they wanted the money, but they didn't want the work. And we tried to clean our own tables. But if she had a dirty table and I wasn't busy, I cleaned her table and vice versa. And Darlene would too. But we wouldn't clean nobody else's tables but us threes. And we done that. So.
Took care of each other.
We truly did. If they was trying to hurry and get drinks or a special dessert or something, and we had time, we'd help them. We very, very seldom had time, but if we did, we helped one another. We helped one another a lot.
Did
You
any?
know, he was from Locust Grove, and they have a museum over there for him.
Did any famous people come through while you were working that you recall? Famous people?
Not I know of. Well, I had a race car driver.
That counts.
Yeah. and he was from Oklahoma. He was a movie star. Big, black-headed guy. Gosh, I can't remember his name. He come through one time.
Gardner's the only one I can think of. James Gardner.
He come through one time.
That's the only one I can,
He come
fits that description I can
Yeah, he
think of.
come through one time.
Right.
He was on his way to St. Louis.
Did any politicians like the governor or, you know, have
You
pop
were
in?
not allowed to do politics. You were not allowed to do politics.
I'm through.
You're through? If you're through, okay. I'll say thank you for coming today, if you're
Oh.
through.
You're welcome.